February Mega through. I'm back here for FSI DFS. I will be covering the main slate for Memorial Day 2022. Hope everybody's having a good day, celebrating responsibly, and keeping in mind all of those who have served our country to protect and keep our freedom. So thank you for all of those of you who are out there and in the military service, or your families in the military service. So nice slate tonight. And for once, FanDuel and DK have the same amount of games, which is also nice because it wasn't that way for the early slate. Speaking of the early slate, and I mentioned the early videos, you could see some surprise lineups today. And Minnesota came out, and Buxton Correa are sitting. Miami lineup came out, and some of the guys that I thought would be in would be sitting. So try our best to figure out who's going to be in here, especially because we have a game in Milwaukee and the Cubs. That's the second half of the doubleheader. So who knows where we're going to go there. So we'll go through these games quick, get some lineups, and get you back to your barbecues so you can set your lineups, win some money, enjoy some time with your family, and enjoy some baseball tonight. Okay, first game up, we have Baltimore and the Boston Red Sox. Wind blowing out 9 miles per hour, 86 degrees in Fenway. So it's a good hitting environment. We have Tyler Wells and Rich Hill. Hill maybe in a GPP potentially. He's been decent this year. Doesn't go super deep into games. Baltimore does have some good bats that could take advantage of him, especially with the wind and the park configuration. But I think he's in play. Tyler Wells, no thank you. Baltimore, I think, have some cheap pieces there. Red Sox, I think Red Sox and Dodgers are obviously going to be the top two stacks tonight. They got 5.67 total. So, get as many of those in as you can. But then again, like I said, don't be surprised if some of the big bat or two is out of the lineup today. Next up, we have Washington, 79 degrees, winds blowing out at 12 miles per hour against the New York Mets. And this is more of a pitching park, so it's a little bit better, but Eric Fetty is not good, so he's on my fade list. And David Peterson, I think you can make a case for him. He has been decent, and 8-2 is a pretty good price for him compared to some of the other guys who are a little bit more expensive on the slate. So Washington, I don't think, if you want to stack him as a GPP, that's fine. We have seen them put up some runs recently, but most of they're better from the left-handed side than the right-handed side with like power, and they're decent contact hitters with the right-handers. So GPP only, probably my least favorite GPP stack. Mets, I really like. Also, they've got a 5.17 run total. I think they'll be a little bit low owned. Really have to see what the Mets roll out for lineup, because they rested Nemo and they rested McNeil yesterday, and it didn't. They were both a little bit banged up, but it didn't look like it was anything like super bad. It looks like they potentially could be back in the lineup today. If not, Luis Gilmore leading off at 3.3 is a really good price. So I'll save you a lot of money paying down from McNeil or Nemo there. It opens up a little bit more salary space. So I really like the lefties here, the switch hitters like Lindor. Alonso actually does have decent numbers against Fetty, so I think he's in play, but he's expensive. I don't know if you'll be able to get up to him. So, but you got a lefty catcher. It's pretty cheap at 2.6, and Mazika and Dominic Smith at 2.7. So some pieces in play there. Okay, next we have the second round of Wrigley Field. Right now it's only about 2-2 in the fourth inning, so not as many runs as I thought might be put up. You have some better pitchers here. Aaron Ashby, who was a middle reliever, who's come out to become a starter and actually throws a pretty fast stuff there. So against a Cubs lineup that's pretty right-handed, so I mean there's a little bit of a challenge there. So I think he makes an intriguing medium range GPP play there, but the Cubs can definitely strike out. And then you have the Smiley on the other side, who at 8.7, I think it's just way too high to pay for him. So he's fade for me, especially with the win. The Brewers have a 5.59 total. So again, this is the second game of a doubleheader. We don't know who's going to be there. Like McCutchen rested in the first game, so I think he'll definitely be in there. But look for some righties there, bats there. Like if Lorenzo Cain cracks the lineup at 2.4, he's a decent one. Bruceo probably could be at third base there. Herrera at first or second, usually is decent and cheap. So Looking definitely for the righty bats there. If you get Yelich in your stack, that's perfectly fine too. Cubs on the other side, I think, favorite GPP one, said Ashby's decent. Milwaukee bullpen is very good. Wind is still blowing out at 23 to 25 miles per hour, 85 degrees. So it's a great hitting environment. So Cubs might be able to overcome pitching with that. Let's see here. And again, they rested some guys. Like Happ wasn't in the lineup early on, so definitely he'll be back there. Morel leading off, definitely some decent plays there. So Tampa Bay and the Rangers up next. Drew Rasmussen at 10-1 and Glenn Otto. It's a pretty decent price for Rasmussen on DK. He's a little bit cheaper on FanDuel, I believe, today. Much easier to fit him in there. Let me just check the pricing on that. Yeah, he's only 8,900 on FanDuel, but he's like 10-1 on DK. So I'm not saying he's not playable, but I think out of like all of them, like Buehler against Pittsburgh is in a great matchup there. Gillen is Peterson. I think he'd be like fourth just based on his price here, but the Rangers definitely a good matchup here. No wind blowing out here because they play in a closed stadium. So even if it's opened, I don't think the wind's going to be too much of a factor there. Just there might probably hot temperatures, but anyways, Glenn Otto on the other side is I think Tampa Bay does have some strikeouts, and it all depends on what lineup they roll out there. So I think he's maybe in play on the slate. Might be able to get you like 12, 15 DK points. So in a tournament, definitely would not play him as cash as an SP2. Tampa Bay bats, I think, make a good GPP stack against Otto, the Rangers. Maybe just a leverage thing if you think Rasmussen, especially on FanDuel where he's cheaper, would be in play there. Spencer Strider against Zach Gillen here for the Braves against the Diamondbacks. Kind of like Strider here as like an SP2. He's only 7K, really doesn't need too much. Could probably get you 15 to 20 DK points against an Arizona team that's middle of the road in strikeouts and offense. They hit left-handed pitchers much better than right-handed pitchers. Like Vercheo should be back in the lineup, and you have Rojas and Marte and Peralta, but they don't like and Smith, so they'll throw probably a pretty left-handed lineup at him. But I think he'll be able to do enough to be your SP2 to be fine tonight. And you want to open up some salary space because there's a lot of bats you want to try to get in. Zach Allen on the other side at 9.4, I think definitely here Walker Buehler at 9.2 makes sense to be your SP1 just in the matchup. Obviously, Gallon has a harder matchup against the Braves on the road. They look like they're getting healthier here. So, but I think if he's popular, the Braves make a great leverage stack, and Arizona always has some cheap pieces that you can throw into any stack there. Then finally, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates and the LA Dodgers. Walker Buehler against Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas isn't a bad pitcher, but an 8.5 against the LA Dodgers in LA is not with the wind blowing out 10 miles per hour. It's going to be a little cooler there, 67 degrees, but I'm still not interested in Zach Thomas. So he's a fade for me. And Walker Buehler, I think, sets up to probably be, even though strikeouts have been down this year against Pittsburgh with only a 2.58 run total, I think he sets up probably to be the top pitcher here on the slate. He's $200 cheaper than Gallon, who's against the Braves, which is a tougher matchup. Peterson against Nationals sets up good too at 82. I mean, if you want to drop down to that, but I don't think he has as much K upside there with the wind blowing out. It's a little bit dangerous matchup for that. And then Rasmussen at 10-1 is just very expensive. So I think Buehler's where we're going to head there. Bat wise, Pittsburgh leverage stack. If you think Buehler has an off game, other than that, really not super interested in them. And then Dodgers, I think, definitely make the top stack of the slate. So let's look at some lineup constructions, and we'll get you on your way back to your holiday week. And to finish it off, we're going to go back to work tomorrow. So I think in cash for DK, you either want to go Dodgers and that's the build on the left, or Red Sox, it's the build on the right here. So cheap catcher. I think the Arizona guy is like 2K minimum. Herrera, if he's in. The Mets guy was very cheap also. I think he's like 2.4 or something like that. Freeman at first base, we can get up to it. Rios, which used to have like different positional eligibility, but now he's only at first base for the Dodgers if he's in. Gives you a little bit of savings there. So fill in for second and third. If you go with the Dodgers, then I'm looking at Turner, Betts. If Pilar makes the lineup pre-scheduled too, he's only 2-1. He was always a good hitter for San Francisco. Even though he's sitting down in the bottom of the lineup, I think at 2-1, just in this Dodgers lineup will definitely be one that you could look at if he's in. I just think I'm just going to lock him in my lineup just to save me some money. And then I'm probably going to fill in with the last guy. If I'm going more of the Dodgers, I can still play Rios at first base if I want to. Sorry, Devers, Xander, JD, if they're all in. I think I'll still play PLR. And then if there's another guy like Cordero or something in outfield that fits in, then I'll throw him in there for that. On FanDuel, I'm dropping down to Rasmussen because he's so much cheaper on that one, and he's got a good matchup against Texas there. That lets me get Freeman, Rios is first or third base, so I can play both of them in the same lineup. Turner, Betts, if, like I said, one of them is out, if Pilar is one that you can throw in there. And then I'm going to go with Milwaukee as the secondary stack there to mix one. So if Furious, and he can go at first or second base. McCutcheon or Kane, depending on how much money I have left. If I can get up to Yelich, that's great too. Taylor, and then let's see who's left to finish up. Maybe a one offer. If there's another Milwaukee guy that's cheap, I'll throw him in there. Then for GPP, I think I'm going Gillen here. I might throw some Ashby just to see how he does against the Cubs. Not completely sure yet where I'm going with my SP2 here, but again, probably I'll go cheap for the catcher spot. Really like the Mets here. Really going to try to get McNeil and Nemo in, the lefties in here. If I find it settle on a cheap SP2, I might go off of Herrera and move him up to and put Alonso in there. I think Herrera might have first and second base eligibility, so I could always move him down to second and put Alonso in there, and then finish off if I find a really cheap catcher in SP2 with McNeil and I think Nemo there. So I think I'm, like I said, I'm going to try to fill this one in with New York Mets. For the GPP one for FanDuel, I think, if you want to pay up for Walker or Gillen, then you can get a nice Tampa Bay and Mets stack here. So Choi, if you want to pay up a little bit more, if you want to pay down for pitcher, then you can get Alonso in there. McNeil, Lindor, Nemo, if they're not in, one of those guys is not in the lineup and Gilmore's in, then he's super cheap, and that's going to make almost everything work and get you up to one of those top pitchers. And then, there's so many cheap Tampa Bay fill-ins here that you can go with. Kiermaier and Choi are lefty, have the splits advantage, and do really well. So again, appreciate you guys watching. It looks like a great offensive day on both slates for baseball, and let's just hope the bats do come alive and the pitchers we pick do what they need to do, and that we have a really good output, score a lot of runs, and make some money. So appreciate you guys watching, taking some time out of your holiday. Again, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you had a good one. Hopefully the weather is nice and you had a chance to spend some time with your family and friends, watch some baseball tonight. So I'm Mega Roller 31. If you have any questions, again, like I said, if some weird lineups pop up and I talked about things, but they're not going to work out anymore, then put some questions in the chat. I'll try to get back to you. Hit me up at Mega Roller 31 on Twitter. If you want more information about FSI DFS, go to the details in the video, and all the information on our Discord, our website, our Twitter, it's all in there. So please like the video if this is helping you do better at DFS so other people can take advantage of what we're trying to do here for you. Share with your friends, subscribe to our videos so you know when they're coming out, and appreciate you watching. Again, happy Memorial Day, and I will see you next time.